It's the Blue and Gold post-game show as A&T drops its seventh straight game, this time 45-7 to William and Mary with Al Swann and Billy Covington. Donal, Ware with you here. This was just a tough game. A couple of opportunities for A&T. You're talking about a William and Mary team that rolled up almost 500 yards of total offense, and really you thought, hey, this is the third-ranked team in terms of rushing in the country coming into this one, but the tribe very much this afternoon was balanced.
No doubt about it, and it just makes it so difficult when you fall behind, as A&T did, 28 nothing or 21 nothing early in the first quarter, and it just makes it very, very difficult. It's an uphill battle all the way, and we mentioned many times that we are not equipped to be a come-from-behind team. We're not very explosive. We don't score a lot of points. And so when you fall behind by that much, that early, it just makes for a long day, guys. I mean, there's no other way you can put it.
You know, interestingly enough, we saw Braxton Thomas get some time. Today, we'll have to see what the quarterback situation is moving forward, even before, because Thomas was the guy in the second half. Game weighted Thomas in the second half, maybe mostly because, again, at the end of the first half, you've got 9 seconds remaining. That the clock management wasn't great. 9 seconds remaining. A&T had no more timeouts remaining, and Fambi took a sack inbounds, and the time ran out. A&T couldn't get any points on the board.
Exactly, Donal, and you would expect more because, as you said, this is Fambi's 6th year playing football. It's not like he hadn't played before. And to make that type of mill mistake is something that is pretty much unacceptable. So the Aggies decided to go with Thomas, the true freshman, the entire second half, and he wasn't able to do very much, but he didn't play poorly. He got some in-game experience, which is going to be really helpful. So I would imagine that he will probably get the majority of the first team snaps next week as they prepare to go against Villanova.
Let's see, you can get your comment into the chat. Jack, I'm not sure but welcome into the program. If this is your first time, Jack, if not, then that's fine too.
Yeah.
But Jack says at this point, the players and fans have no hope. Another bad game once again. And it wasn't, I don't know about the hope part, but I know that the game, it just wasn't a good outing on either side of the football. Although, from a running standpoint, we thought A&T could run the game, and Shameik Blizzard showed that.
Yeah.
He had, about 128 yards rushing?
He had Blizzard had a good day, 128 yards. But, a lot of times you look at yards and you have to ask the question, how many of those 128 were meaningful yards? And you look at the scoreboard, that tells the tale. We only were able to put up 7 points again today.
See, Janelle says, good afternoon, everyone. The game was tough. I'm looking forward to next season. Honestly, I'm just over it. It was definitely a tough game. And let's see, Xavier says, no hope in this game. William and Mary is a different breed of animal. And this was, clearly, you're talking about one of the best teams in the conference. Let's look at the pedigree. Mike London won a national championship at Richmond, went on to UVA, Virginia in the ACC, was coach of the year in 2011, turned a Howard program around that wasn't very good. Again, beat UNLV. It was slated to lose that game by 45 points, and comes to William and Mary and has done a good job there. This is a good William and Mary program, and A&T ran into a buzzsaw today.
No doubt about it. And, we mentioned that before the game, this is a upper tier team in the CAA, and they showed us why today. They were sound in all phases of the game, and it showed.
Another tough game next week, fellas. Villanova. We have to go to Villanova, to Philadelphia, to play that game. And, you got to get out of here, I guess, on Friday on a flight. And so A&T's got, some work really to do to prepare for the Wildcats.
I remember that last year, Donald, when Villanova came here, and they had 14 grad students playing. So they got a lot of experience. They had a lot of experience last year. I don't know about this year, but they, again, are in the upper tier of the of the CAA conference. So we are going to expect a very tough game next week when we travel to Pennsylvania. Now, the thing that puzzled me was, Al, that the coach pulled Fomby after the second series in the first quarter, and he wasn't injured. So, you have to think about that one now. Um, I, Fomby took it with a grain of salt like he should have, but that was a very interesting call by the coach.
Well, usually in a situation like that, Billy, it's usually for something minimal. Guy made a minimal mistake. He didn't do what he was supposed to do, or he didn't make the right read. And as you said, they pulled him after the second series and eventually pulled him for the entire game.
And speaking of Villanova, they're leading Hampton 20-14 in the fourth quarter, so that could be an interesting ball game there.
Yeah, could be a tough game next week if you judge by what Hampton did, certainly to A&T. Desmond says, Aggies, please donate if you can to our athletics program,
Yes.
whatever amount you can donate. And the Aggie Athletic Foundation is a good way to donate. They raise a ton of money that helps A&T athletics, because when you look at A&T and being in the CAA now, you're on a different level in terms of budget. So all and everything helps. Han says, nothing to say, gentlemen. Got to wait until next year. I hope the boys haven't packed it in. Hans, I think you're still in Indianapolis. He also says we played with zero passion today. It's just one of those really tough deals today, for A&T. Although I would say Vinny played with a lot of passion today early on. I mean, that interception he threw, I think, was still in part on that wide receiver option because he was just so emotional from what had happened the previous couple of plays.
I agree, yeah.
So let's see. Anthony says next season we'll tell the story after the coach. He says after the coach gets to the plate, his players that he recruited will be the majority, and certainly and we'll see what happens. You still got 3 games to play, though. You're right. I know, and I understand the sentiment because the Aggies have lost 7 straight games. I get that, but there's still something to play in these next 3 ball games to propel you into next season.
Absolutely, and though that's a great comment, Donald, because the season is over, but it's not over. You can learn a lot about yourself and the team in these next 3 games. So you don't throw the anchor in now. It's time to just go back to the drawing board Monday, check on injuries and stuff, and then hit it again Tuesday and see what you can come up with.
Benjamin says, I feel for our guys. Janelle says a lot of mistakes made and they benched Fomby, rightfully so. He is a veteran and he has to play better. I mean, I think it's a good point. He's a 6-year player. In terms of college football, has been with a couple of programs and really started off well. That's the thing.
Yeah.
Through 2 games, he was his first 2 starts, 5 touchdowns to just 1 interception. And actually it was South Carolina State and Richmond. So his third start, 5 touchdowns to 1 interception, and just hasn't played as well the last couple of ball games.
And of course, he's made some decisions that were questionable, like that last play of the second quarter that you wouldn't expect from a guy that's been around college football for 6 seasons. And so I think the staff was pretty much forced to make that change at quarterback going into the third quarter.
Again, we've got a couple of more moments here. You can put your comments in the chat and we'll read them off here on the Blue and Gold post-game show. So, what do you think we can see? What are some of the things that you think we can see? I mean, you need improvement in almost every area, but the running game, at least the last couple of weeks. I mean, I think the numbers, as I mentioned in the pregame show, a little bit misleading last week because you had all those penalties and you couldn't establish the run. But the running backs did a good job. And today, again, you're looking at the back going over 128 yards rushing today.
But Donald, again, when you look at yards in terms of rushing, you have to question. I mean, how many were what we might call meaningful yards. And, that's evident a lot of times in terms of the score. And, we run the ball well in the middle of the field, but when we get into the red zone, we've had trouble running the football. And so, that makes a big difference. And so hopefully that's something that they can work on during the week. And we just got to find a way to put more points on the board. You're not going to beat very many teams just scoring, one touchdown per game. And that's what we've done the last few games. And so we have got to find ways to score, to put points on the board against some of these teams.
Ulysses says, I like the freshman quarterback. Talking about Thomas, sit him next week to maintain the red shirt status and let him start the last 2 games. David says, this has been a brutal season. Angela says, at least they made a touchdown. Ulysses also says, again, the play calling was predictable. That's an interesting thought in terms of who the starting quarterback is going to be on next week. You've got 3 games remaining. At this point, who gives you the best chance to win regardless? The season, it's not over. You're still, but who gives? And again, you want to take into consideration what your future looks like, because KJ still got to be in the mix. He's going to be an injured guy. You get some Thomas, some reps. But at the end of the day, you're going into this one looking to win the football game. That's exactly why you play the game.
Yeah, you got to play the game. And so, I'm sure this is something that they will, when I say they, the coaching staff will look at during the week, and they'll go back in and look at the film tonight and, make some decisions in terms of who they're going to go with in these last 3 ball games.
Donald, I think looking in the crystal ball, I think we are going to be in great shape running back wise next year if everyone comes back. The 2 players that we lost, plus the players that we have seen play in their place, especially Blizzard and Dale Rempel. Goodette looked real good today. So I think running back wise, we are just, we are in good shape, and hopefully they'll be back with the Aggies again next year.
Yeah, you're right. Blizzard had 132 yards rushing today, had the 1 touchdown. Benjamin says, getting consistently beat like we have ain't about the talent level of our team, but things can get better. Optimism, he says. And then Love Nin says a freshman can compete in 4 games and still maintain his redshirt eligibility, which is why the suggestion was made to not play Thomas next week, let him play the last 2 games. Earthel says the season is not over. These last 3 games are a season within a season. Exactly, because you want to build some momentum going into next season.
I definitely agree with that. From a standpoint of, when we got 3 games left and you're looking forward to trying to build some momentum going into next year, because hopefully next year you're going to have KJ White coming back, Kenji Christian coming back, and you got a sound nucleus for a good team. And so these last 3 games are really important, but they're against tough teams. We got to go to Villanova, then we got to turn right around and go to Baltimore and play Towson, and we end up with the last home game against Elon, the last part of November.
Yeah, we're going to get ready to wrap it up. It hasn't been and the schedule isn't forgiving, because remember, we had a 3-game road trip. We had a 2-game homestand, then a 3-game road trip. Then we substitute back and forth between home and away, and now 2 straight games on the road. Only 5 home games this year to 7 road games. That's about going to wrap it up for the Blue and Gold post-game show. Don't forget, we're on each and every week after A&T games on the A&T Athletics page, as well as TobaccoRoadSportsRadio.com. Thank you to Des back at the studios of the Aggie Sports Radio Network for all of his outstanding work. And out the next opponent for A&T, that game is going to be on next Saturday. It's a 1 o'clock kickoff. And we're coming on with the pregame show beginning at 12:30 on the Aggie Sports Radio Network. For Al Swann and Billy Covington, Donal Ware saying so long for now. from Tua Stadium on the campus of North Carolina A&T State University. Your final score, William and Mary, 45, A&T 7. You've been listening to Aggie Football on the Aggie Sports Radio Network.